Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new segment. I'm going to call it this and that because I looked up the advice show and then also the balance, and they are things. So I don't really know what to make of that, but this is my new quote unquote advice show. So, fitness. I was a three sport athlete. Now I kind of just am in shape for the fun of being in shape because I firmly believe in it. First thing I'm going to do is just blurt out all the things that I think are important for being in shape and then actually rank them. So, finding your priority, this is the moment where I tell you what your priorities should be. First and foremost, sleep, recovery, whatever you want to do. It is important that once you actually break your body, that you build it back up again and that you do it in a way that inspires growth. The big caveat to this is that you need resources to grow, which means you need food, right? Water, food, nutrition. The most important thing is that you eat in terms of food, but it is also significantly important what you eat to encourage the type of growth that you want. Right? If you eat only carbs, you might grow horizontally, and if you eat a lot of protein, you might grow in other ways, right? You can't develop bones without calcium, so all those important things. And other parts for sports and like fitness in general, it's the mental. You need to actually be able to work out and do so in a way that is best for you. There's a very easy way to just get caught in this trend of I follow some new workout or I do everything that feels safe because I never want to look like I'm pushing myself. I don't like how my face looks when I'm really squeezing. But those are pushing yourself to failure and working hard is how you grow. So being able to actually be able to push yourself and feel comfortable doing so and consistently do it is important. Touch 2 points there where yes, you need to push yourself and work hard, but also you need to recover. So you need to balance how hard you're pushing yourself when you push yourself and to actually recover properly. All right. And then consistency. So your body needs to know that when it's getting resources, it needs to allocate new resources that you are putting them towards the things that you actually need, and which in this case is your muscle growth and your ability, right? You don't want your body to shut down, feel super stressed, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to grow in this area, but I do need to reinforce my mind to actually support this habit, right? You need to enjoy lifting. You want to make it a habit. You want to get that positive momentum, and that comes with consistency, and that also comes with you enjoying the work that you do, which is hopefully physical. So even if it's hard to start, you're like, okay, I'm going to tell myself that this is ultimately good for me, that I actually do think that the fitness is going to help. You go out there, you're not always scared of getting injured, and you also aren't always in fear of what other people think of you and of failure, right? You need to make an environment for yourself where you feel comfortable growing, and that is surprisingly underrated. And then there comes the other critiques like technique and your actual training in and of itself of like, oh, what is most optimal, what is the best way to grow and push yourself, which of course is significant, right? There's so much research behind it. People get paid well, like good money in order to do so. And like, if you ever see Jeff Nippert, he's very, very cool and always great to follow that fitness content and always be on the cutting edge of tech. I love tech myself, right? Of course, CS major nerd. So these are all important things. And now let's set priority, right? What is most important? Number one, recovery. You cannot make new growth if your existing quote unquote growth is absolutely beating you up. If you don't grow, you don't develop. And you could argue that you need to push yourself more than you need to grow, but it's better for you to be healthy than to be injured. If you're injured, you just lose progress. You can't do anything about it. But if you're healthy, you can actually do stuff. So being healthy, number one thing, being able to actually work on yourself and grow is the most important. And I believe that starts with recovery, or at least being in a state where you can actually work. And then that will lead you to your next thing. For performance, the most important thing is eating food. That doesn't necessarily mean okay, I can just eat any food. Like if I only eat bread, I don't have any electrolytes in my system, I'm cooked. You need to have that balance. That means eating actual food, yes, with seasoning. And I don't want to say a balanced diet so much because everyone seems it's based off of like the proportions you eat. Hot take, when you are a young lad, when you're a youth, you should eat as much as you can. Like get fat, honestly. because it's better to have too much resources than to have too little, right? Hit your max growth potential, and rather than eating too little and then not having enough food. So you will discover a careful balance for athletics, not yeah, yes, athletics, sports, and where if you eat too much, you're probably gonna throw up, and it's gonna be bad. Or if you eat too little and then you're really tired, and you might think that eating too little is better than eating too much, in which if you're fat, most likely you'll just go into ketosis. Well, not necessarily ketosis, but you might be able to push yourself and get into that aerobic state, and you actually start burning fat or muscle, and that'll help you. But what is better than that, I would argue, is actually eating too much, because you can always throw up. This might be the cross country talking, but yeah, you can just throw up, and then the food is gone, and then you feel better. So you can find the balance that way, and your body's not going to be too worried about the stomach acid is lost. Like, oh, I'm just going to finish my run. So you can always throw up and get back in the game, but you can't eat more food and then magically make more energy, right? So get what you can. Eat food is my bottom line. So following that is the actual work that you're doing. So pushing yourself to failure and actually growing after you have good recovery and you are eating food, and hopefully the right foods, right? If you want muscle, eat protein. If you want stronger bones, eat calcium. There's a lot of good supplements for your immune system, notably vitamin C and zinc are good for boosting immune system health, right? Try to avoid too much cholesterol because it's going to plug your arteries. Red meat, iron, good for developing your blood cells and replacing them, replenishing them, right? Good blood cells, red blood cells in particular, are good for transporting oxygen, right? That helps you. But also be careful, because red meat generally has a good amount of cholesterol in it, right? Fat is actually good. There's just people are like, okay, I don't want to eat fat because I don't want to get fat, but fats are super good sources of energy and they last longer than carbohydrates. So you eat carbohydrates for a little burst of energy, and you eat fats for sustained energy. Same thing with protein. So, good. And the amount of food that you eat, I always advocate for eat too much rather than eat too little. But, if it gets to a point where you get too large and you get this load on your body, which just makes your life significantly more difficult, and you might develop things like psoriasis or, whoa, I think it's a skin condition, or scoliosis, because you have deformation due to the extra weight that you're carrying. So balance. And then volume of training, which I didn't mention explicitly, but I'm going into technique. How you train is important because that ties into your recovery. Do not overtrain. Do not train too much. You'll know you're overtraining if you are constantly sore and you're always tired. Well, it also means that you're not recovering. But yes, they're hand in hand. Not recovering enough and overtraining go, hand in hand. So make sure that you are not putting in too much volume. You can figure it out by your fatigue. Like, stop when you're up is a lesson that I am still actively learning. It is so easy to get injured and then lose so much progress, but if you can be consistent, and that it means making sure that you're not training too much, then yes. And then I guess to the next point, be consistent. That should honestly be before any of these things, but frankly, if you just lift once a week and you push yourself really hard, that's all you need to get growth and also to maintain your current level of fitness, which is, in terms of muscle growth, I think cardio deteriorates way quicker than muscles do. And also, once you push yourself and get to a good point, it's much easier to get back to that point. But it's hard to get new developments to convince your body that you need more muscle, that you need to be even larger, that you need to be even stronger. So, yes. And then technique. We're going into, besides just the volume and the consistency and working hard and pushing yourself and eating well and recovering properly, is your technique, which is to say that people have returns on how much muscle mass, I should say, they have to how much actual output that they get out of it. And that balance comes almost entirely from your ability to actually use the muscle that you have. I don't know, this is one zombie anime and there's a witch, and besides the point, bottom line is, if you can just break all your bones, you don't care and you're dead, you can get quote unquote 100% out of your muscles. They say that if you are able to use 100% strength of your muscles, that you would be able to squeeze your bones and crush them, which is not good. So your body naturally has limiters on how much muscle that you can use, because to avoid injuring yourself. You might have heard of like parents being able to lift cars because their kids under them, like emergency situations. That adrenaline that helps you to actually use the most of your muscles, but it's also not the end all be all. So making sure that you are actually pushing yourself in the ways that you should be pushing yourself, very important. So that, I believe, is the end of my list. That's also the end of the video, so I'm not going to keep yapping, but that is our general ranking. That's my tier list of things that you should focus on in fitness. And then I actually didn't get to sports, so maybe I'll have that advice for another video. Okay.